All right, so we are factoring. Yesterday was GCF. Today we are factoring trinomials. Factoring trinomials. When you hear tri, what does it make you think of? Three. We're factoring trinomials today. Ryan, do you have to bring me your cell phone? I think that's a yes. When you're done texting them, you got to bring your cell phone up. It's going to prison. All right. Factoring trinomials. Here is the first problem. We got x squared plus 14x plus 45. So we are looking for two numbers that multiply to 45 and add to 14. Two numbers that multiply to 45 and add to 14. So you gotta bring where. Get out of my room. All right. Two numbers that multiply to 45, add to 14. Here's how we do it on our calculator. We're going to hit the y equals button right here. The y equals button. And when you're in this screen, if you're looking for numbers that multiply to 45, you're going to hit 45 divided by x. 45 divided by x. Right? And then from there, you're going to hit second graph. Second graph. And this right here is going to give you all of your options. Do you need me to repeat it? Oh, yeah. It's right here by the green button. Okay, so we had, from here, we had 45 divided by x. So 45 divided by x, and then you hit y equals is right here. 45 divided by x. And then from there you do second graph, and then this is all of your options. So what we do is we work our way through the list. So all of these are going to multiply to the correct number. We've got 1 times 45. I'm going to ignore the decimals. 3 times 15, ignore the decimal. 5 times 9, ignore the decimals. 9 times 5. So what we're doing is we're looking for the pair that adds up to 14. So 1 times 45 adds up to 46. That doesn't add up to 14, so I'm not going to use that one. 3 times 15 adds up to 18. I'm not going to use that one. 5 and 9 adds up to 14, so that's what I'm going to use. 5 and 9. So the two numbers that multiply to 45 and add to 14 are 5 and 9. And those are the answers. And we're done. Just like that. Yep. Okay, we're going to do it again. Okay, here's the next problem. We're going to do c squared plus 2c minus 48. So you can see that these are called trinomials because they have 3 pieces. And we're going to look for what multiplies to be the number on the end and what adds to be the number in the middle. So for this one, we're going to look for what multiplies to be negative 48, but adds to be 2. What multiplies to be negative 48, but adds to be 2. So I'm going to go to the y equals button in my calculator, press that. And I'm going to type in negative 48 divided by x. Negative 48 divided by x. Okay? And then from here, I'm going to hit second graph. Second graph. And then these are all of my options. So all of these multiply to the correct number. I'm looking for the ones that add to positive 2. So 1 and negative 48, that adds to negative 47. 2 and negative 24 adds to negative 22. 3 and negative 16 adds to negative 13. What part? So I did second, and then I hit the graph button over here. 4 and negative 12 adds to negative 8. I'm skipping this one because it has a decimal. 6 and negative 8 adds to negative 2, so I'm pretty close to the answer right now. I'm skipping this one because it's a decimal. 8 and negative 6 adds to positive 2, so this is the answer. Positive 8 and negative 6. Does that make sense? How I found it? So I just work my way down the list. Okay, so positive 8, negative 6. And so I'm going to write C plus 8, C minus 6. Now you can switch these two numbers. You could do C minus 6, C plus 8, and you'd be right. Your answers would be right. All right, here is the next problem. W squared minus 15W plus 26. W squared minus 15W plus 26. Okay, so what are we going to do? What are we looking for?
26 and multiply by 26, but add up to be negative 15.
Okay, multiply to be 26 and add to be negative 15. So I'm going to go back to the y equals. And I'm going to type in 26 divided by x. So in the y equals, I'm typing 26 divided by x. And the x button is right here by the green button. And then I'm going to hit second graph. Second graph. Now, if I look down here, all of these are adding up to positive numbers, and I need to add up to negative numbers. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Okay? So negative 1 and negative 26 adds to negative 27. And then I've got negative 2 and negative 13. What does that add up to? Negative 15. So those are my numbers. Negative 2 and negative 13. So what am I going to write in my parentheses? W minus 2, W minus 13. Okay? All right, let's do n squared. You don't need a parenthesis there. N squared minus n minus 72. So we're looking for numbers that multiply to you're close. Negative 72. So two numbers that multiply to negative 72. Now in the middle there's a number, but that number is not written. What number is here? It's a 1. Yeah, negative 1. So they didn't write it, but it's actually there. So we're looking for numbers that multiply to negative 72 but add to negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to go in my calculator. In the y equals, I'm going to type negative 72 divided by x. And then I'm going to type second graph. So 1 and negative 72, that adds to negative 71. 2 and negative 36 adds to negative 34. 3 and negative 24 adds to negative 21. Are you guys finding the numbers? You just got to scroll until you find it. So we start with the y equals. We type negative 72 divided by x. Are you able to type this part? Mm-hmm. And then to get to the next screen, you hit second. You hit the blue button, second, and then you hit the graph button. Second graph. It's because you're hitting the minus button and not the negative button. So when you hit it, don't do this button over here. This is the minus button. This is the negative button. Mm-hmm.
So there's a negative 172 at all?
It's not negative 1 and 72 because those add up to, negative 1 and 72 adds up to 71. We need the number to add to negative 1. Say it again. Positive 8, negative 9. Positive 8, negative 9. So these are two numbers that multiply to negative 72, but if you add them together, they add to negative 1. Okay, so what should our parentheses be? N plus 8, n minus 9. Okay. These are students that need to do the thing. Do you want to just take them? Eddie, you need to work on your tutorial. And then, Jameson, you weren't here the day we did the tutorial, so we need you to do the tutorial for the EOC. Everybody else isn't here today. Okay. All right. Let's do another one. Okay, now these ones, we're going to make them a little bit trickier because these ones are going to have the factoring from yesterday and the factoring from today. Can somebody remind me of the factoring from yesterday? What was the factoring from yesterday?
The
GCF. So these ones are going to have a GCF first, and then it's going to be a problem like what we've been doing today. So we're going to start with 2k squared minus 16k minus 40. 2k squared minus 16k minus 40. So first, we're going to take out a GCF. Can anyone see what the GCF is? What number should we divide out? So between these two, it looks like 8, but what about these two? 4 comes out of 2?
No, 2.
2 comes out of 2.
So 2 is the...
So 2 has to be the GCF. Yeah, 8 could come out of these, but 8 can't come out of 2. If we look at the 2, 2 is the biggest number that you can take out. So 2 limits everything else. 2 makes it so we got to take out smaller numbers. So 2 is the GCF. That's what we're going to take out. And then we're going to have 3 terms left over. So if we divide the 2 out of the first term, what do we have left?
K.
Yeah, we have the 1, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then we got k squared. Okay? If we divide 2 out here, what do we get? 8k. Okay? And if we divide 2 out here, we get 20. 40 divided by 2 is 20. Okay, so now, say it again. So now we're going to say, all right, we got the 2. I'm going to kind of ignore the 2, and now I'm going to do it like one of the other problems. I'm going to say what multiplies to negative 20 but adds to negative 8. So I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to look for what multiplies to negative 20 but adds to negative 8. What multiplies to negative 20 but adds to negative 8?
Can I say it?
2
and negative.
Okay, positive 2 and negative 10. Okay, so for my final answer, I'm going to have the GCF of 2 in the front, and then I'm going to have 2 sets of parentheses. And what should be in my parentheses? K plus 2, K minus 10. So it adds a little bit to the problem, but not much. Okay, let's try another one like that. All right, here we're going to do 5z squared minus 25z plus 30.
No, the 2 we got from like in the steps. This one, we don't do anything with it.
Nope. You just take it out when you start, and then you leave it out at the very end. Okay. So can you see what number might divide into all of those? 5? Everyone else agree 5 seems to be like the number we could take out? 5? Okay. So I'm going to take the 5, put it right here. For the first term, when you take out the 5, what's left over? Z squared, okay. 25, if you divide out 5, 5 is left over, okay. Take the 30, if you divide out 5, 6 is left over, okay. So now we're going to look for what multiplies to six and adds to negative 5. Okay, multiplies to 6, adds to negative 2 and negative 3. Okay. So I'm going to keep the 5 in the front, and then I have 2 sets of parentheses. And what goes in my parentheses? Z minus 2, Z minus 3. Okay. All right. We're going to do one last one. Negative x squared plus 7x minus 12. So this one has a GCF, even though you might not think of it as a GCF. Anytime you have a negative in the front, the negative is the GCF because it's technically not proper to have a negative in the front. So if you see a negative in the front, you just say, oh, the GCF is the negative sign, so I'm going to take the negative sign out. And then all I have to do before I start my problem is I'm going to change the sign, change the sign, change the sign. So if I take the negative out of negative x squared, what would I write? It would become positive x squared. If I take a positive 7x and I divide it by a negative, it would become a negative 7x. If I take a negative 12 and divide it by a negative, it would be positive 12. Okay? All right, so now we're taking this, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to negative 7. Multiply to 12, add to negative 7. Negative 4, negative 3. Okay, so we've got the negative sign. We have two sets of parentheses. And so what goes in our two sets of parentheses? X minus 4, X minus 3. Perfect. Okay. Would you guys like some more examples, or do you feel like you understand what we're doing? You got it a little bit? Do you feel comfortable with using your calculator to find the numbers? We need more practice with the calculator finding the numbers. Okay.
I forgot how to do the GCF with the calculator.
Ooh, how do we do the GCF on the calculator? What if I wanted the GCF of 16 and 40? How would I find the GCF of 16 and 40? I would hit math. I would go over to number. I would go down to number 9. And I would hit 16, comma 40. So whenever we are using these calculator tricks in a quiz situation or a test situation, all you have to do is call me over if you've forgotten and say, Ms. Rice, I don't remember how to type that. Can you show me how to type that? And I'll help you. To clear the screen, you can just hit the clear button down here to clear the screen. If you are like here, or if you're here and you get stuck in this, there's a quit right up here in blue. So you can hit second and then hit that button. It'll get you out of this screen and back to the computing screen. So you can hit second, quit, and that'll get you back here. If you just want to clear the calculator, second plus 712 will clear the calculator. Yeah, so in a testing situation or a quizzing situation, I will always help you with your calculator if there's something you forget how to do. Okay, I'm going to hand out the worksheet for today. We have a punchline on the front side and a punchline on the back side. So there are 16 problems total for you to do. All right, and if you need